This is the book. It's called Resistance is Futile. It explains the whole thing brilliantly. Ann Coulter's new book, it's already a big bestseller, Resistance is Futile. You get it at Amazon or AnnCoulter.com. You can get a column there, too, and follow her on Twitter. Ann Coulter, how you doing?
Fantastic. How are you, Mark Simone?
Very good. But talk about resistance.
Talk about crazy.
So if Dianne Feinstein had these allegations in July and decided not to bring it up in the 1,300 questions that Kavanaugh was asked, what does that tell you?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. Obviously, they were not. Even Di-Fi did not consider this a credible claim, in as much as Kavanaugh's accuser doesn't remember the date. She doesn't even remember the year. She doesn't know whose house it was at. She has no evidence, no corroborating witnesses. But last week, there were all these polls breaking showing that Democrats might even take back the Senate this election. That had been considered out of reach. So suddenly it's pedal to the metal, anything to stop Kavanaugh.
Yeah, but I always look at the polls to dig into the metrics. It turned out they forgot to survey Republicans in the poll.
That could well be, but it was the first time. It was quite noticeable. If you are hate watching MSNBC and CNN, they'd have a segment with Steve Kornacki jumping around, pointing out how Democrats could win Florida and Arizona and even Texas, and then the next segment is and new allegations breaking against the Supreme Court nominee.
Yeah, but this Steve Kornacki, he's getting so into the weeds with the numbers. You want to say to him, hey, did you look at the metrics? They got Republicans at 23% in the sample. Should be 34%. Where is he on that?
Oh, that's interesting. I like watching him. He seems like one of the sanest people at MSNBC.
Sane? He can't even put on a jacket. He's the guy that always wears a sweater, and he looks like Bob Vila. He's jumping around like a nut.
He's very excited about his poll numbers. I like a man who enjoys his work.
Oh, yeah, but he's like that. Who's that goofy, that Nate Silver? He's like one of those guys.
He's not too bad in the numbers either. Remember, he was viciously attacked before the 2016 election because he didn't say that there was a 100% chance that Hillary was going to win.
Hey, if you read this new Stormy Daniels book, I thought the most interesting thing, and she's with him one night, and he gets a call from Hillary, and it's clear from what she's saying, they were on the phone a long time. This is during the 2008 race. They were obviously really good friends, having a long conversation. How does Hillary explain that away?
Is that true?
Yeah. Yeah, she's calling about, I'm having trouble in the race, and he said, well, here's what you need to do. I mean, she's really consulting him. She could tell they were pretty close.
Huh. Well, that's probably worse for him than the alleged affair.
All right, that could be. Hey, the DNC chairman, vice chairman Ellison, who's getting elected in Minnesota.
Yeah.
This guy's got double women accusing him of violently abusing them. Pictures, video, police reports. Where are the Democrats on that?
No, it's got to be overwhelming, even to the casual observer by now, that if you accuse someone who is an appropriate enemy, a frat boy, a lacrosse player, the fictional Haven Monahan at UVA, who was the villain of the Rolling Stone gang rape story, Clarence Thomas, the women must be believed, even for not particularly violent accusations. I mean, Clarence Thomas was only even accused, and I think he didn't do it, but of talking about pornography and that sort of thing. Talking. Did he touch you? No, but he was standing in a position where he could have reached me. Meanwhile, Teddy Kennedy killed a girl, famous for molesting women, the sandwich he and Senator Dodd used to engage in. Currently, right now, we have, as you say, the co-chair of the Democratic Party accused of beating up a mistress. And wow, we don't hear anything about that. But this utterly preposterous recovered memory allegation by a deranged woman against a Supreme Court nominee, whom these exact same people have been telling us for the past month is going to bring back The Handmaid's Tale. He's going to murder millions and millions of women in back alley abortions. They pull this out, and you must believe the women, must always believe the women. How about Bill Clinton, credibly accused of rape? No, NBC buries that. The story here isn't about men not believing women or the Me Too movement. It's about how liberal men can get away with anything, actually up until the Me Too movement. That was the bracing innovation of the Me Too movement, is that, you can finally accuse liberal sexual predators. And you will note all of them were liberal. But we're just back to business as usual with that sweet nerd, Brett Kavanaugh. Just imagine what the hearings to replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg are going to be like if this is what they're doing for Brett Kavanaugh to replace Justice Kennedy.
Yeah. And also you're right. Ann Coulter's new book, by the way, you should get it. It's called Resistance is Futile. Every Republican nominee, that's all you hear is, this is it for Roe v. Wade. It's the end of Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade will be over. They've been doing this for 50 years. It's never even come up. How do they keep getting away with this?
No, I know. And, at the risk of scaring the perpetually alarmed, let's say it is overruled. It's not as if abortion is illegal. I promise you, abortion will be allowed until age 30 in states like New York, California, New Jersey. There will be probably a few states might ban it, except, as they always add the exception, in the case of life of the mother or rape or incest, those standard exceptions. But you'll get, who knows, a dozen states that will finally be allowed to put on a few reasonable limitations, like maybe no abortions in the last trimester, parental notification laws, those kinds of things. Right now, all of that has to go to the Supreme Court before even reasonable regulations of abortion can be passed by a state legislature. But Roe v. Wade, interestingly enough, I think in New York State and California, either both or one or the other, it actually made Roe v. Wade made the abortion law more restrictive because those states are so insane. They were already saying, abortion whenever you want.
Yeah. You got to get Ann Coulter's latest book. It's already a big bestseller. Resistance is Futile. It really explains this phenomenon, this Trump hatred, this, you must have looked historically. Was there ever anything historically ever to match this?
No, this definitely has a different tinge because usually, you look at someone like Richard Nixon or Joe McCarthy, they were professional politicians. Nixon was incredibly bright and articulate, for example. But with Trump, you have the added, knife in the gut to the left of the fact that they just find him aesthetically appalling. They think he's tacky. And it actually, it could be a problem right now with this deranged woman with the recovered memory 30 years later about Brett Kavanaugh. The only thing sane people and citizens have to worry about is that some of these Republican senators, like Jeff Flake, so hate Donald Trump and so want to be admired by the media that they will refuse to vote for Kavanaugh just to be called brave and honorable in the New York Times.
Yeah. When you say they find him tacky, what is that exactly? Is it every president is a professional speaker? Also, every president is from the South, or they're from a farm, or they're from the suburbs. We've never had a big city president, and certainly not a guy from Queens. Is that what it is? That tough-talking brashness?
No, the Roosevelts were from New York and very slick, but
they were from Hyde
having
Park.
Ongoing conversations with porn stars, for example. They didn't slap their names up on every building, and they didn't choose their cabinets based on how rich they were. So yes, there are some points on the tackiness scale. I don't think that's enough to take a man down who just won an election running on popular issues. It really shows how popular Trump's issues are.
Yeah. And it's also, they always hate when a Republican comes in because he'll go with the Republican ideas. But is this really, a lot of it is because he's also taken out the swamp, the lobbyists, the donors. Everybody's getting messed up by Trump being president.
Oh, yes. The swamp is a great concept he's introduced to us. If he really wants to fight them, what he should do is push through his policies. For example, the wall. Yeah. He needs to build the wall. He needs to go after sanctuary cities. I know. I think all he thinks about all day is Russia and Mueller and Russia and Mueller. Most of the country can see that it's nonsense. Go out to your supporters and see if they're paying attention, if they can even name who Bruce Orr is. It's boring. No one cares. Yes, it should be done. But if he really wants to shore up his supporters and give enormous pain to the swamp, he ought to be pushing through his popular issues that neither the Republicans nor the Democrats would do anything about for the past 40 years. The trade issues, immigration, most of all, of course, and whatever happened to no more pointless wars. Okay, he hasn't started any. Congratulations. But boy, our guys are still dying in Afghanistan. How about putting them on the border?
Well, ever get Ann Coulter's book? Resistance is Futile. It's her best book so far, and it's different from the other books. It's faster. It moves, and it's like it's a digital 2018 pace sort of a book, isn't it?
Yes, it's like reading Twitter.
It's really great. It reads really well, but it's Ann Coulter's latest book, Resistance is Futile. Get it right now. Go to Amazon or go to AnnCoulter.com, and you can get her column there. And Ann Coulter, thanks for being with us.
Good to talk to you, Mark Simone. Bye-bye.
Take care.